एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निर्भय निर्वैर अकाल मूर्त अजूनी सैभं गुरु प्रसाद गुरु प्रसाद गुरु प्रसाद एक ओंकार We've been discussing Sukhmani Sahib, and last week we talked about the fourth ashtapadi, which started with this shlok: Nirgunyar Yanya So Prabh Sada Samal Jin Kiya Tis Cheet Rakh Nanak Nibhinal. And we saw how we need to seek the giver. We don't need the hand. We need the full giver. Not as gifts, but the entire giver. Not just the seeker, but the seer, the giver. But often we get into this trap of not recognizing who we are. Today's meditation and contemplation is on the next shlok. The next shlok is Denhaar Prabh Chhodd Kai Lagayan Suai. We renounce the giver and attach ourselves to other affairs. Denhaar Prabh Chhodd Kai Lagayan Suai. Nanak kahu न सीजई बिन नावे पत जाय. But you cannot succeed if you don't have the name. What does this mean? How can we have this name? How can we trust that the giver is the giver? How can we trust God? I was reading this ashtapadi and some very interesting contemplations and thoughts came into my mind, and I'll share those with you. But before we do that, why don't we listen to Guru Arjan Dev Ji's Shabad, Saranjam Lag Bhojal Taran Kai. Let's make an attempt to trust God. Let's start this exercise listening to Saranjam Lag Bhojal Taran Kai. And think about and tell me in your comments how we can trust God.
na dire na da na saranjamla 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 भवजल तरन के जन्म वृथा जा रंग माया के सरंजामला 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 भई परापर भई परापर मानुख देहुरिया गोविंद मिलन की एह तेरी बरिया अवर काज तेरे कितै न काम मिल साध संगत भज केवल नाम भज केवल नाम सरंजामला 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 जप तप संजम धर्म ना कमाया सेवा साध न जाना हर राया कहो नानक हम नीच करम्मा शरण परे की राखो सरम्मा सरम्मा राखो सरम्मा राखो सरंजामला 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 सरंजामला
can we trust God? Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, Saranjam Lag, Denhaar Prabh Chhodd Kai. If we know the giver can give us everything, why do we hesitate? Why do we not trust God? And I found some interesting answers here. Let's go through some of the beautiful verses that I found absolutely fascinating in the 5th ashtapadi. Trust is a two-way street. Think about it. The idea of trusting God often leads to the assumption that it's a passive act, something we do by simply believing in a higher power. But spiritual trust is not one-sided, it's a two-way street. It involves active participation. That's why we sing Saranjam Lag. It involves an active participation, a conscious decision to align ourselves with the divine will. Even when the circumstances are challenging us, when some things are taken away from us, still believing, still trusting. Even when it makes no sense. How can this happen to me? How can I not have this one thing? How can you keep on trusting God in such circumstances? Trusting God cannot occur in isolation from trusting yourself. I found this line fascinating. Apni prateet aap hi khove. This is what we do. We destroy our own credibility by not trusting God. Trusting God starts at home. Trusting God cannot happen without trusting ourselves, because the divine resides within us. If we lack the confidence in our own wisdom, if we lack the confidence that the Guru is sitting within us and telling us what to do, and not just that, if we lack the trust that whatever we're doing, the Guru is making us do, if we lack this confidence, we lack the spiritual capacity of fully trusting the divine. Trust is interconnected. If we fail to trust ourselves, we undermine our own ability to trust God. We don't trust God because we don't trust ourselves. Our internal sense of faith, alignment, it directly impacts our relationship with the divine. In other words, spiritual trust requires self-trust. Saranjam Lag, Bhojal Taran Kai. This vast ocean we have to cross, this ocean of not trusting. And the only way to cross this ocean is you swimming. You cannot have someone else swim for you. To trust God, you have to trust yourself in your ability to know what's right and your ability to cross the ocean. Trusting everything, whatever you have, whatever you've lost, it serves a higher purpose. That grace and wisdom leads to trusting God. Let's listen to the Shabad once more and think about अपनी प्रतीत आप ही खोवे. Are you destroying your own credibility? Are you trusting yourself? Let's just listen to the first antara of this Shabad again, and then we'll come back with more reflections.
Saranjamula, 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 Saranjamula. Saranjamula, 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 Saranjamula. Saranjamula, भवजल तरन के जन्म वृथा जात रंग माया के. Saranjamula, 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 Saranjamula. Bhai parapar भई परापत मानुख देहुरिया गोविंद मिलन की एह तेरी बरिया. अवर काज तेरे कितै न काम मिल साध संगत भज केवल नाम, भज केवल नाम. Saranjamula, Saranjamula, Saranjamula.
Bhaj Keval Naam, Saranjamla. We're discussing the fifth ashtapadi of Sukhmani Sahib. And I just talked about the one line that absolutely boggled my mind and changed my view on how we can trust God. Apni prateet aap hi khove. We are destroying our credibility ourselves because trusting God means trusting yourself. It starts with you. God, of course, is the banker that has endless capital. Agnat shao apni de ras. Ras, rashi. Agnat shao. There's countless things in his bank. Aganat Shaho apni de ras. Guru Arjan's metaphor of the divine as a banker, it beautifully encapsulates this idea of trust. The most challenging aspect of trust is how you surrender control. We often resist the unknown, clinging to our desires and our understanding of how life should unfold. This should happen this way, that should happen that way. However, spiritual trust, it asks us to release this need for control. It lets you flow like a river. It lets you accept the flow of life trusting that everything, whether gained or lost, serves a higher purpose. And then Guru Arjan uses this metaphor of the banker, Aganat Shahu, the banker that has countless wealth. This talked to me because I used to work as a Wall Street analyst. I used to work in the banking world. I still have many friends in that world, and I advise people on investing. But here's the best kind of investment. Saranjam lag bhaujal taran ke. Invest in what will get you across. Aganat chaho apni de ras. The banker is giving us everything that we need. Khat peet barte anand ulas. We can eat, we can drink, we can expend our life in pleasures and joys. You make the decision if you can trust yourself. Apni aman kach bahar sha le. If some of this capital, this banker takes it away, if he's given you $100 and he takes $1 away, agyani man ros kare. Only an ignorant fool should get angry. He has still given you so much. The metaphor of God as a banker illustrates how life gives and gives and gives. It also takes. And all this is in accordance with the larger plan. When things are taken away, whether it's material, our loved ones, or our comforts, we often react with anger or frustration. This reaction stems from a lack of trust. And this lack of trust, and not the lack of trust with just the divine, but ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves. True trust requires us to accept life's ebbs and flow. In every moment, whether it's joyous or painful, it carries meaning, it carries purpose. There's a reason behind what has been taken away. Trusting God in this way invites us to trust our ability to endure and to grow through challenges and to cross this ocean. So we pray, Tu Thakur, Tum Pair Das. Let's do this prayer and then come back to some of the verses.
तू ठाकुर तुम पैरदास, जियो पिंड सब तेरी रास। तुम मात पिता हम बारक तेरे, तुमरी कृपा में सुख घनेरे। कोई न जाने तुमरा अंत, ऊंचे ते ऊंचा भगवंत। सगल समग्री तुमरे सूत्रधारी, तुम ते होए सो आज्ञाकारी। तुमरी गत मित तुम ही जानी, नानक दास सदा कुर्बानी।
तुमरी गतमित तुम ही जानी, नानक दास sada kurbani. We are looking at this misplacement of trust. And another beautiful, beautiful stanza that I was moved by was this one. अनिक भांत माया के हित, स्पर पर होवत जान अनेत. The many forms of Maya pass away. Just know that they are transitory. बिरख की छाया स्यों रंग लावे, ओ बिनसे ओ मन पछतावे. People fall in the love with the shade of a tree. But when the sun passes, when the sun moves, every hour the shade of the tree is moving. And when the shade moves away, they feel a regret in their minds. There's a story of this cobbler who builds his shop, and he says there's shade under a tree, and he spends a lot of money and a lot of effort and calls 100 people from the village to build everything under the shade. An hour later, 2 hours later, after they're gone, the shop is built, but the shade is gone. And then he complains. Well, who is to blame? Is God to blame? He is to blame. He did not trust that what this shade was temporary. A misplacement of trust is sort of a spiritual blind spot for us. One of the reasons why trusting God is difficult is because we often place trust in these fleeting things. We trust in material wealth and relationships, social status. We trust everything's going to be the same day to day to day, believing that these external sources will bring us lasting happiness, but they don't. Guru Arjan Dev Ji's beautiful verse, Anik Bhat Maya Ke Hit, explains how there's futility in placing of trust in these impermanent things. Falling in love with the shade of the tree is akin to clinging with illusions, things that inevitably pass, leaving us with regret. Trusting God requires us to move beyond these surface attachments, beyond what we think is permanent, but it's temporary. We cannot anchor our trust in something that's that temporary. We have to anchor our trust in what is eternal, which is God. But more so, we have to anchor our trust in something that is eternal within us, the divine within us. When we trust ourselves, we stop seeking validation or security from external sources and instead look inward. And when we look outward, everything seems Maya. It's Maya. Maya is a Mohini, like Guru Arjan Dev Ji says. Let's listen to this Shabad and think about how we can stop misplacing our trust in the many forms of Maya.
मोहनी मोहत रहे ना भोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना भोरी. साधक सेध सगल की प्यारी, साधक सेध सगल की प्यारी. टूटे न काबू तोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना बोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना बोरी. घट शास्त्र उच्चरत रसनागर, तीरथ गवन न थोरी, पूजा चक्र भरत नेम तपिया, ऊहा गैल न छोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना बोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना बोरी, मोहनी। अंत कूप में है पतित होत जग, संतों करो परम गत मोरी, साध संगत नानक भयो मुक्ता, दर्शन पेखत भोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना बोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना बोरी, साधिक सिद्ध सगल की प्यारी, टूट न काबू तोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना बोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना बोरी, मोहनी मोहत रहे ना होरी।
मोहनी मोहत रह ना होरी. And this takes us to one of the most favorite lines from Sukhmani that everyone likes, and it's found in the fifth ashtapadi, and it's this. And it gives so much solace. I was once visited by a Sindhi saint, and he said when he had lost his wife, this particular line saved him because he was going into depression. And he really, this line, after understanding these lines, he was saved from depression and he came back to life. Let's read these lines. Das bastu le pache pave, ek bastu karan bikhod gaware. We obtain 10 gifts from the giver. He's giving us, giving us, giving us. But there's this one thing that when we lose a loved one who's left. And we can't think of all the gifts we do have. We can't think of these eyes, this nose that breathes, this ear that listens to beautiful music, this mouth, this tongue that lets us speak and sing, our other family, our friends, all these gifts that the Guru gives us. We forget it when we lose this one thing. What if he took everything that we had? The Aganat Shaho, the banker, what if he took the whole capital back? What would the fool say then? What would the fool say? Guru Arjan Dev Ji here, he's reminding us that everything that we have comes from the divine. our lives, our successes, even our challenges come from an infinite source. Yet, how often do we find ourselves resisting what we don't understand and cannot control? Trusting God begins with accepting that we are but vessels of divinity. We are vessels of this larger cosmic plan. We don't understand the large plan. And this beautiful verse, it's about the human experience, right? When life goes well, we hardly notice. Everything is great. But when we face loss of this one thing, when one desire remains unfulfilled, we forget the abundance that we have received. We forget the divinity that we are. Trusting God means trusting that all things, whether given or withheld, have a purpose. But to recognize this purpose, what's essential is that we trust ourselves. It's absolutely essential to trust yourself, to trust God. You have to trust yourself. It's a fascinating thing I learned. Denhaar Prabh Chhodd Kai, lage aan suaye, nanak kahu sijai, na sijai, bin naave pat jaye. Bin naave pat jaye. Without understanding name, you lose your honor. But what is name? Name is Satnam. What is Satnam? The true name is the true self. If you don't understand your true self, you cannot do anything. I was reading this ashtapadi and I was reminded of another Shabad. And I'm going to share that Shabad with you. It's in Rag Gaudi Bairagan. And here's the Shabad. Let me share that with you. Here we go. This is Guru Nanak Dev Ji in Rag Gaudi Bairagan. Rain gavai soe ke, divas gavaya khaye. Rain gavai soe ke, रैन गवाई सोए के, दिवस गवाया खाए, हीरे जैसा जन्म है, कौड़ी बदले जाए. God gave us the precious jewel of human life. It's like a diamond, and we're losing it. We're exchanging it for shells. Look at what we're doing. At the night time, in times of darkness in our lives, we stay asleep. And so he says the nights are wasted in sleeping. Verses Bindi Rainadiye Chamkan Tare Jage Sant Jana Mere Ram Pyare. Ram Pyare Sada Jage. The lovers of the Lord are always awake, but we are asleep. Rain Gavai Soe ke. दिवस गवाया खाए. हीरे जैसा जन्म है, कौड़ी बदले जाए. I'll just play a little bit of this rag. It's a beautiful rag. नाम न जान्या राम का मुड़े फिर पाछे पछताए. मुड़े फिर पाछे पछताए रे. नाम न जान्या राम का. You have not recognized the name of Ram. You have not recognized Satnam. You have not recognized who you are. How can you trust Ram if you don't know who you are? Naam na janya Ram ka. And as a result, Rain gavai soe kai, Divas gavaya khaye. हीरे जैसा जन्म है, कौड़ी बदले जाए. नाम न जान्या राम का, मुड़े फिर पाछे पछताए रे. Perhaps I'll record this Shabad later, and one of the things that's coming up is Guru Nanak's Gurpurab, 15th. I believe it's middle of next month, 14th or 15th of November, and so I've been planning lots of collaborations that will yield some music and some. Just poetry and even katha in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So looking forward to that. In between, we also have Guru Ram Das's Gurpurab, and that's next week. So we'll celebrate that here next week's session. We also have Diwali coming up, so we will be celebrating that. So lots of celebrations, but let's hope that we can, as we do these celebrations, trust ourselves. And as long as we can trust ourselves, we will be able to trust Vaheguru. We'll be able to trust the oneness. Let me go through some of the comments here. My wonderful dad is here, Sasrikal Papa. Ankit Grover is here. He says, our attention is disproportionately focused on suffering. He said that really well. Anant Mulchandani ji, all dimensions of Maya are common, but rare is the name of God. Durlabham ek Bhagwan naam hai. Beautiful. Prerna ji, always very insightful. She says, a conscious seeker treats comforts and pain equally. She gets attached to nothing, simply dancing in the present moment. Manifestation, offering gratitude with every breath. Wonderful to have you here. Disha is here, Disha Mahalji. It was wonderful seeing you. Bhupinder ji is here, wonderful having you as well. Maninder Kochar ji is here, Jatinder ji, Vaheguru, and greetings to everyone. Jodi ji is saying something. Thank you, Virji, for the chilling comfort we all need to revisit our trust and beliefs. Trust in anything is a self-sacrifice. Trust in anything is a self-sacrifice. And that itself is the essence of true connection. Trust in anything is a self-sacrifice. I would say trust in anything is self-acknowledgement. If you know the divine in yourself, then you get to trust everything. There's a beautiful ghazal by Bhai Nandlal on trust. Wafadar nest kase gar to wafadar shavi. Waqt aasat ke bar waqt khabardar shavi. He says, Wafadar nest kase gar to wafadar shavi. To is you, wafadar shavi, if you become wafadar. If you are wafadar, if you have the trust, bewafa nest kase. No one is going to be disloyal to you if you are loyal to the one. How beautiful that is. No one will be disloyal to you if you have trust in the one. Wafadar nest kase gar to wafadar shavi. Waqt asat ke bar waqt khabardar shavi. The time has come to remain awake in day and night. Har waqt khabardar shavi. Remain alert at all times. Remain loyal at all times. Trust yourself. Trust God and trust yourself. And if you trust yourself, my Nanlal says, you will gain the trust of everyone. There will be no one disloyal to you. How amazing that concept is. That if you trust yourself, if you trust God, if you trust divinity in everything, everyone around you becomes loyal. On that note, we're going to end. Wonderful seeing all of you guys. And I'll see you next week. Until then, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.